We're doing this because we're going to highlight the Medicare for All March that's happening this Saturday. And the D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept has been, again, punching down and trying to discredit the move for Medicare for All. That guy's name is Ryan Grimm. He tried to discredit the hashtag forced to vote and discredit Medicare for All push then. He's doing it now. So we're going to talk about that. That's very interesting. The Intercept, just a shit organization. Just on purpose. Like, they're all like, hey, we're shitty. And that's that. And guess what? But we're all getting six-figure salaries from Pierre Omidyar. So nobody really cares. Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief of The Intercept. And I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing this up. So why am I going to do a video about Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief of The Intercept? Because he's been known to kneecap progressive movements, right? So he kneecapped forced to vote in a very transparently disingenuous way. And here's a little bit of it. Here's a little bit of it, right? So this guy's supposed to be super progressive on board, but he's not, right? Because he works for that billionaire Pierre Omidyar that censors anything that they think will hurt the Democratic Party. And remember, they did that with Hunter Biden. That's why Glenn Greenwald had to leave that organization. So this is who he works for. So he's very pro-censorship. And he says the real question that will help me engage with folks on here who I do think are coming from a good place. Why is a vote on the House floor for Medicare for All considered so obviously better than other demands? What's so useful about the floor? We already know who backs it and who does. So that's the kind of garbage he was doing on December 12th. So this is the kind of garbage he was doing. That's muddying the waters, running interference. Hey, why? Let's do that. Let's do something else. Wow, who knows with the media? Well, and then I look. He goes, people who are engaging here from a good place. Oh, like he's the arbiter, as he's doing bullshit gaslighting for forced to vote. He's saying, if you're coming from all right. So that's the kind of stuff he was doing, right? So that's just one little itty bitty example. Ryan Grimm then says they're worried if they go for it, meaning trying to force a vote on Medicare for all. Not only are they certain they won't make it, but they might be tackled in the backfield and turn it over on downs, leaving their movement worse off than it was to begin with. He is saying this to a professional football player. The person he's saying that to is Justin Jackson. They're worried if they go. He's trying to use so a nerd is trying to use a football metaphor to a professional football player. By the way, an establishment shill, a corrupt, transparent bullshitter, is trying to use a football metaphor to dunk on a professional football player over forced to vote. And do you see how garbage that is? If they go for it, they might get tackled in the backfield. None of that makes any sense, because you know what Justin Jackson said back to him? I'm sorry, man, this is a horrible analogy and the type of thinking that gets coaches fired. You have to take risks, especially when the situation is advantageous. You're arguing for a field goal. The safe play actually increases your chances of losing the game, not vice versa. And then here he goes. I'm not arguing for either play. So this is classic obfuscation, running interference, the establishment running interference. This is exactly how they've done it since forever. And he did it. He goes, I'm not arguing for either play, just saying that sometimes the play is right and sometimes the play under different circumstances is wrong. And people can disagree about it, but still want to win. So that's even as I'm kneecapping this and I'm trying to run interference to stop this, I can pretend like I still want to win. If I say it, if I just pretend like I have an honest disagreement, but there is no honest disagreement with forced to vote. Remember that. No one ever had an honest thing to say to not do it. It was all garbage, just like what he's saying. And his ass got ratioed by Justin Jackson. Ryan, I am really in good faith asking what your angle on all of this is. You've directly targeted both the MPP, Movement for a People's Party, and the Green Party in just the past 6 months. You're saying here we had too high expectations of Democrats, but you've attacked forced to vote and strategies to oppose the Democrat. So he talks out of both sides of his mouth. We've shown you that a million times, and that's why I'm showing you all this. So he does that. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. And here he's saying, I'm not even saying anything. I'm really not saying anything. I'm not for anything. Okay, and then there's more, and then here he did it again.
He's done it again. He's done it again. That is a fact. You fucking little bastard. He's done it again. You dirty bastard. You've done it again.
So
Never gets old.
and then here he's trying to say, don't have expectation of politicians. They're not in it for you. They have to be forced to do everything and have it be in their interest. Don't sit back and hope others fight for you. Fight for yourselves and keep So do you see how he talks out of both sides of his mouth? Fight, fight, fight. Hey, what are you fighting for? You're going to get tackled in the background, in the backfield. You're going to lose. You're going to punt. You're going to miss a field goal. What are you doing? And then just like Cenk Uygur, by the way, does the exact same thing. Isn't it funny? People who are establishment shills and run interference for politicians do the exact same thing. And this is what Ryan Grimm does on the regular. Talks out of both sides of his mouth. After he says, stop doing the force to vote, stop pushing for Medicare for all. But then he goes, hey, you got to push these people. Okay, now, this is why I bring this up. March for Medicare for All. Okay, so there's a March for Medicare for All this Saturday, and it's in a lot of different cities. You see all the different cities? In a bunch of cities all across the country. And Ryan Grimm decides to not punch at the Green Party this time, not punch left at the People's Party, not punch down at a podcaster like Ryan Knight or Jimmy Dore. But here he is going to punch down at the people who are organizing the Medicare for All March. I'm not kidding. He's doing that. So he goes, some Medicare for All organizers have been dragging Booker of Kentucky for inciting a scheduling conflict and backing out of their event. I asked what the conflict was. The answer, a new baby. I think that qualifies that legit. So he's sticking his frickin' nose in and discrediting organizers for what? For why is he doing that? What do you get out of discrediting organizers? And here's one of the organizers who's going to be on the show in just a minute. Savage Joy says, as someone co-organizing the marches, you're full of shit. As usual, the only people who were pissed at were those who were harassing him. Just like every other person of color and woman speaker we've announced. We literally have over 200 speakers across 45 cities. And while Charles is great, we are focused on a million other things. When's the last time you organized 45 marches to try and help humanity, Ryan Grimm? Never. You never have because you're privileged as fuck and just like to shit on disabled people volunteering 16 hours a day like myself. And he is working for a billionaire, Ryan Grimm, so he has health care up the ass, and he doesn't have to worry about health care. And so it seems like his part-time job is shitting on people who are organizing for health care. Because he works for a billionaire, and he's a corrupt piece of it. And I see through it. Sees through it. Anybody who takes a look at Ryan Grimm sees through it. Here's Ryan Grimm. He says, this even has my... So then he's tweeting out, trying to discredit them. Savage Joy Marie tweeted out what he's worth and how much money he's got and why he's shitting on Medicare for All. And he says, this even has my age wrong by 2 years. Super reliable site. This is a lead organizer of an upcoming Medicare for All march who is angry that I asked Booker why he canceled. So this is him still punching down and shitting on people organizing for Medicare for All. Why are you against it? Why can't you boost it, Ryan? I'll tell you why, because he's being paid to not boost it. He's being paid to keep access to the Democratic Party and to shit on anybody in the third party or anybody who pushes the Democrats. Red Berets said, this is the first time you've deemed the Medicare for All grassroots working class organizing in nearly 50 cities across the U.S. to demand healthcare justice worthy of a mention. This is the first time he's found it worthy of a mention. Ryan Grimm, you didn't think to step in and maybe get the real scoop on the smear campaign? No, he didn't. He decided to just start smearing the people organizing the Medicare for All march this Saturday. Hey, why didn't you address her actual complaint? If you're not going to address her complaint, you should leave her alone. I think you've sent enough negativity towards a Medicare for All march, and you should just leave them alone now, Ryan. Why is someone with using his power and his platform to do this constantly? Because he's protecting the Democrats.
Like a good boy.
Like a good boy. Ryan Grimm is a good boy who's protecting the Democrats. And he was allowed to write that Tara Reid article when nobody thought Joe Biden was going to be president, let alone be able to tie his shoes in the morning. And as soon as it became clear that Joe Biden was the official choice of Wall Street and the military-industrial complex and the healthcare industry, that was over. They were all on board with Joe Biden at the Intercept, including Ryan. Here's what happened today. Steph Zamorano tweeted out our latest video about him he went on another show and said I wouldn't have him on my show, said I deleted a video, a bunch of lies. Never deleted a video of Ryan Grimm ever. We do our show like everybody else does in the world, right? I mean, everybody who has a YouTube show, we do our show live. It's free to everybody as it airs. And then we take the whole show and we give it to our premium members. We never deleted it, never take it down. It's available to any human being on the planet at any time of day or night over at jimmydorecomedy.com. It's available all 24/7. We've never taken it down. We've never deleted anything. And Ryan Grimm's running around, and he's got other people repeating a lie for him that we deleted a video and that we somehow treated his video any different than anybody else's, which we did not. So if you want to go see his appearance on our show, you can go see it. And we never deleted. So that's what he's been doing. And so we did a video. So he was on this other show, and I went and I did a super chat. And I'm like, hey, you blocked me, and now you're complaining that I won't invite you back on your show like I'm scared of you? Why don't you come on my show? And the host goes, oh, I bet he would love to come on your show and answer questions. And Ryan Grimm goes, no, I don't. I'm not coming on your show. He blocks me. He tweets at negative stuff about me as he's blocked me, which is now called a Grimm job. That's super douchebag to do that. That's cowardly and a douchebag. And so now it's called a Grimm job. All right. And he said this. He goes, the last time I went on, Jimmy nodded and agreed with my points. Then when I hung up, he changed his tune. Then he refused to post the video of the interview. Now you guys stalk me like creeps and you're talking about fetishes. Ryan Grimm has blocked me and continues to tweet about me on the daily. So this, I guess, is projection. You guys stalk me like creeps. This guy blocked me, continues to tweet out stuff about me, negative stuff, so I can't respond. And that's a garbage person. That's a garbage person. And so the last time I went, he came on my show to explain to everybody how Cenk Uygur was lying when he said that McCarthy could become speaker. So he explained how that couldn't happen for Forced to Vote, that McCarthy could not become speaker. I took that part of our interview and I put it in a video that I dropped. And the rest of our interview is available at jimmydorecomedy.com if you want to go see it. That's how I do every interview. I've never did an interview where I've showed it from clip to clip, I don't think. I usually don't, put it that way. I usually clip out the relative parts and we clip out stuff in the middle, just like everybody does. And we put together a show. And if you want to see the full interview, it's always been available 24/7 to any human being in the world. No one, we're not keeping it from anybody. So this is all. I changed my tune. No, Ryan, when you got off my show, you started running interference for for the Democrats and trying to squash hashtag Forced to Vote. When he came on my show, he said we weren't asking for enough. He said a floor vote for Medicare for all isn't enough. And then then just soon after that, he kept saying we were wrong to do it. So Ryan Grimm has been outed, and he's got other people lying for him now on other shows that he's told, and they didn't fact check it, and they just repeat his lie. And that's unfortunate. But I'm here to debunk it on my show, and Ryan Grimm was asked to be on my show yesterday on a super chat, and he said no. So there you go. He's blocked me. He won't come on my show, but he claims that I won't have him back on my show, and I deleted his video. Didn't do any of that. He's still lying. That's who he is. And now I'm going to bring on Savage Joy Marie and another organizer from the Medicare for All marches that are happening this Saturday, and they can tell us all about it. I want to introduce two of the organizers for the March for Medicare for All. We have a healthcare activist who has supported single-payer healthcare efforts around the country. Good to have with us Sharif Snuggs. Thank you, Sharif, for being here. Also with us is a prolific podcaster, interview, and a tireless organizer for Medicare for All. She spoke movingly about her condition at Forced to Vote's town hall, and she's known as Savage Joy. Thank you for being with us, Savage Joy Marie. How are you?
We're great. Thank you so much for having us.
So,
absolutely, Jimmy. It's awesome.
I certainly appreciate the work you are both doing. So tell me, how many marches are going to happen around the country on July 24th, and how did this movement grow?
So you, Joy, you want to go first?
So right now we actually have 52 across the country. Now, not all of them are marches, most are, but some are like vigils, car caravans, things like that, because it's getting so close. But there are 52 demonstrations.
Okay, that's a lot. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's amazing. I can't even imagine trying to organize something like that. So it's got to be a nightmare. So I can just imagine that there's lots of snafus and stuff happening and people canceling and people wanting to be a part of it and people not wanting other people to be a part. And it's just got to be a nightmare to do. But we got to keep our eyes on the prize. And the eyes on the prize is it's Medicare for everybody. It's not Medicare just for a certain sliver of the country. It's not certain for certain political views. It's Medicare for everybody. Even people you don't agree with politically. It's Medicare for everybody. And that's how it has to be, and that's how it has to work, because everybody's for it now, right? So isn't there a majority of the populace that's for Medicare for all?
Yes, 100%. It's like 70% of the country wants Medicare for all.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have speakers from all parties. Our events are completely nonpartisan. So we actually, even in DC, we have a conservative speaking who's a doctor, Dr. Joe Jarvis, and he's written books about our desperate need for Medicare for all.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's the kind of coalitions you need to build in order to get something like this happening, you know? It's easy. If it was just a progressive slice of the Democratic Party, they're very easy to ignore. But when you get all forms of people from all walks of life in America, it's harder to ignore those people. Now, Sharif, I have a question for you. As one of the organizers for March for Medicare for All, have you been getting any support or endorsements from prominent congressional progressives like the Squad or anybody like that?
Nope, not yet.
Not anyone in Congress? Not one elected Democrat?
Nope.
Now, why do you both think that?
We've tried. Just to clarify.
We do try.
We have reached out many, many times.
Yeah,
right.
So just like we did for Force to Vote, you've reached out for this march, and none of the Squad are getting back to you. None of the Justice Democrats. Nobody in power is going to go help you guys.
Nope.
Now, how about Bernie Sanders?
Including DSA.
Including DSA? The DSA is
national.
Yes.
We have a lot of DSA members who help us organize,
right,
or local DSA, but DSA National has never even made a single post.
So DSA, that's exactly been my experience too. Is that the DSA members are fantastic, and they have their hearts in the right place, and they really want to get things done. It's the DSA leadership that has proven to be a sheepdogging organization for the corporate, militaristic, captured Democratic Party. That's exactly what they are. The Democrats are against Medicare for all, and so is the DSA right now. Go ahead, Sharif.
Yeah, Jimmy, just so you know, we have Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green Party, DSA members, Sunrise Movers members, Moving for People's Party members. It's a coalition across the board. It's amazing. And it's the leadership that's usually the problem. It's the members, you know, they're for it. They're ready. They're jazzed. They're getting out in the street.
Yeah, the members were upset that the DSA didn't force a vote for Medicare for all. They didn't understand why that didn't happen, and it was the leadership of the DSA that attacked Force to Vote and attacked us, and now they're silent on this Medicare for all vote. What the hell is the DSA worth anyway? They're not. So let me ask you, Joy, why do you think the lackeys from the Democratic Party machine are attacking grassroots activists organizing for Medicare for all? Why are they attacking this march? Why is people like Ryan Grimm attacking you?
Well, you know, I watched Ryan attack us during Force the Vote, and I mean, it comes down to privilege. That's the only thing I can think of. You know, as someone like myself who became disabled and lost 85% of my eyesight overnight, literally, 18 months ago, and, you know, to be like, oh, now's not the time, even though you have thousands of dollars in medical bills and you're going through trauma exacerbated by, you know, all this fucking shit. And for someone to tell me, now is not the time, we don't need Medicare for all, fuck you, you have insurance. So that already turned me off of him. And I respected him because of what he did for Tara. But then when I see him posting, Medicare for all organizers are trashing Booker, no, we haven't. And I asked for screenshots like 80 times during that thread, never got a single one. He was literally using screenshots from people who have harassed us left and right, who have slandered us, smeared us, lied about us to use proof, saying that they were like our organizers and that was them, you know, that was us smearing him. It is absolutely insane. And his post was so incredibly disingenuous. And what it did was it bred hatred in the comments. So then you have all these people like, I was going to support them, but now I won't. That's unacceptable. And I'm like, it's not us. Like, it's not us. You know, but once that gets out there, then people are like, ooh, shiny object. And you just feed off of it. And I mean, it just kind of grows bigger and bigger. And then I open my mouth and all of a sudden, Ryan's making post after post, you know, about me. And I'm like, dude, you still follow me. I don't know why, like, you're hating on me. Why do you still follow me?
So what Ryan Grimm was doing was misframing what was going on, and he was trying to paint, he was trying to discredit you and the other Medicare for All March organizers. He was trying to say that you were attacking someone who didn't want to be part of your march, and you were asking him for proof of this, and he wouldn't show any because there wasn't any, and he was then using screenshots of people who were attacking the Medicare for All March organizers as proof of something against you. So basically, he's just doing an all-out assault on you, again, trying to muddy the waters, get people to think something icky about you when your name comes up and when the march comes up, and that's exactly what controlled opposition does, and that's what The Intercept is, and that's what Ryan Grimm is, and that's what the point of this show, doing these videos about Ryan Grimm, is to expose him, so when he comes after somebody like you again, people will already know that this guy is compromised and an establishment shill being paid by a billionaire, being paid 6 figures a year by a billionaire to do just this, to run interference for the Democratic Party and the establishment, and that's what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said, you know, well, he sent me a PM and said, Joy, this wasn't about you. And I said, look, I'm a lead on the national team. I volunteered. Not a single one of us gets paid. We're doing like 16-hour days, putting our heart and soul into this for months. And when you talk about my team, you're damn fucking right you talk about me. So you don't need to say me by name. You're talking about me. So yeah, that's why I'm going to get defensive.
Right.
And so just can you just bring us up to date, Joy, with just let people briefly know about your situation and how you've had to negotiate the nightmare that is our healthcare system.
Yeah, so I'm in Pennsylvania, and when I started losing my sight, I lost my job, and it was completely legal. And I needed eye treatments that were $12,000 for each eye every 30 days. Because my diagnosis is so rare, it was denied. I had to appeal it. They made me sign paperwork saying I would pay the $24,000 or I couldn't get the treatments. So, you know, it's just been a nightmare, really just trying to now, you know, use a cane and learn how to do things, you know, on all this equipment for blind accessibility, doing all these things while also getting nonstop EOBs and medical bills and, you know, all that stuff just exacerbates this trauma. So when I talk Medicare for All, I've supported it for many years because I worked in insurance for over a decade. But now being disabled, it's like a whole other animal to me. Now I'm like, holy shit, like I really do see what, lack of a better term, what people are going through. It's violence.
It is this is 100%. Violence. Yeah, not forcing a vote on healthcare, that's not violence. That's politics. Denying people healthcare who are sick, that's violence. That's literal violence. Is there anything else you'd like me to add that I didn't ask you?
Specifically? Oh.
If anyone would like to check and see if we have events anywhere near your city, you can go to M4, so m4m4all.org. And there's 52 locations. If you want to do one in your area, just PM us on Twitter, but it's Saturday, so we hope to see big crowds, and let's be fucking loud. It's time to stop asking. It's time to stop settling for breadcrumbs. Let's fucking demand what we deserve.
And here in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, we're going to be organizing outside of the CNN building on Sunset Boulevard, and I'm pretty sure I'm scheduled to speak, and I'm pretty sure my schedule is going to allow it. So I'm waiting for my travel to come from the Joe Rogan show, but I think I'm going to be able to make it. So hopefully I can make it early Saturday and then hop on a plane. So I'm going to be there. Everybody should check out in your city. Just like she said, go there, be there, and let's get loud. Let's stop, as AOC said, let's bring the ruckus, right? And
Sharif and I will be in D.C. I'm emceeing, and he's my co-organizer, and we have so many awesome speakers and everything, and we are walking right by those buildings.
All right. Sharif Snuggs and Marie Savage Joy Marie, I really appreciate your work. Thanks for organizing this. Thanks for keeping the pedal to the metal and not letting up. And I'm with you in spirit, and I'll be with you in body, too, this Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Our live shows are back. August 4th, we're in Burbank. August 7th, we're in Chicago. We're going to Portland. We're going to Boston. We're going to everywhere. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets.